Too late.
Too late.
David.
Hello and welcome to our 4th episode of the Rat Chat, our semi-weekly gaming news podcast, coming to you live, yes, on Sunday night, 9 to 10. I'm your host, Liam Nice, along with my friends, Flame Mango, a.k.a. Colin, Deathwatch, a.k.a. David, and our newest guest, Patrick, a.k.a. Blank. Our topic for this week is going to be a pretty interesting section of gaming, hack and slash. So it's going to be some fun story, maybe story-driven, maybe just fun mess-around games. But we'll get into it. How you guys doing for the week?
Doing alright.
Well, that's good. Okay.
I'm doing very well.
Well, that's good. All right. So I'm gonna ask David, what's your favorite hack and slash?
So, this is definitely an odd one.
Yeah?
That many people may disagree with me on it being a hack and slash, but Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
I love that game. I would say that's a hack and slash.
More than anything,
When I was
think
prepping
it
for this
is.
and I went to Steam and clicked on hack and slash, it showed up. So I'm gonna say yeah.
Counts.
it is a
Counts.
hack.
It
I haven't
counts.
played enough
We're
of it.
going with
According
it.
to Google, just pulled it up. It is.
Well, there we
I mean,
go.
There you go.
honestly, you just run around murdering stormtroopers. It's
I mean,
incredible.
It's
You can have a blast with it.
There's definitely a great amount of story behind it.
Oh, there really is. It's a shame that it's all decanonized. now,
No,
though.
see,
I mean, yeah.
I have to ask a quick question for you, David, though, before you continue about it, though. What was the first system you ever played it on?
I think I got it
PS3?
for the Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox, PS3.
See, I got it when it came out, and I played it on the DS.
Yikes! What? I didn't even know you had.
So what you're telling me is it was a very different experience.
Yes, it was a
Wow.
very different experience for me, but I still played it.
I didn't even know they ported that to the DS.
Yes,
You want to know
it
what
came out on the
other
DS.
weird game?
That's insane.
I don't know if I can find it, but I think I have like Black Ops 2 or something for the DS.
Oh, I have Black
I
Ops
did
2
too,
for
I
the
did too.
PSP.
Well, yeah, but that makes sense. Who
Our
ported
mutual friend
Black Ops
Kyle
up
had
to-
Black Ops 1 for the Wii.
Well, that's
Oh,
just
actually,
a shame.
So did I. That's the first time I ever played
How
Black
do you
Ops.
play Black Ops on a Wii?
with a gamepad is the answer.
Or you just really
I-
are bad with
There,
the remote and
if,
nunchuck.
if you boys check chat, you can see.
Oh, nice.
There I am on the DS playing Star Wars.
Yikes.
Yeah, there are some odd ports for games.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean,
So,
the newest Just Dance came on Wii, but that's
Mhm.
another
I
subject.
mean, that makes sense. So my question is, what do you prefer out of that game? Like, what drew you to that game? Is it just
Well-
the Star Wars, or is it?
Yeah, the greatest thing is definitely just I'm a huge Star Wars nerd.
I mean,
I grew up in a household of Star Wars nerds, so
it's a fantastic
I
franchise.
got my lightsaber I built at Disney behind me over on my bed. So if that doesn't kind of
Oh.
that out,
That's awesome. I haven't done that.
yeah, I'll send you a picture. It's really cool.
That's sweet.
But so between that and then also just going back to what we talked about last week, the movement of the game is really well done.
Hmm.
Like I think just running around the way you can just feels very fluid,
Interesting.
and your ability it's one of the few games that gets lightsabers right where they can just kind of murder anyone in front of them.
Yeah, but like, there's that stormtrooper that has like shielding that you gotta like get through and everything. No,
Yeah.
that's good. So what do you think about the decanonizing of that game? What do you think it was a hindrance to the franchise, or did you appreciate that they went forward from it?
Personally, I hated where they went with Star Wars recently, except like the TV shows they've came out with, like The Mandalorian has been incredible.
Completely
But-
agree.
So I don't think it hindered their like any plans that they made. I think even when the game came out, it wasn't too serious on like a canon game.
Did you think they thought it would be successful?
I think they thought it would be successful, but I don't think
So
they planned on it being fully canon.
So I thought it was developed by EA or LucasArts.
I'm pretty sure it's in conjunction with Lucas.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure they thought the first one was going to be a huge flop because it looked like that kind of game where it was like they just let the developers do what they want.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, it'll be trash, and they'll just like throw it by the wayside. But it was a massive hit, and they ended up making 3 of them.
Yeah, they made a lot. They did very well.
And I mean, I actually played through that game myself, and you could change.
I think they only did 2.
I think it was only 2. Yeah.
Was it only 2? Whatever. But I remember that you could change the light crystals in your lightsabers and get like really cool different colors and everything
I got
like
the
that.
orange one finally, and that was the proudest achievement. Well,
think-
it wasn't hard to get in the first game, but it was really cool to me that it could be an orange lightsaber.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely a really like interesting color combination and everything like that. So why'd you pick it as your hack and slash?
I had a blast with it when I played it for the first time, and I played through the entirety of the game, loved the story of it, and really it's just a great hack and slash game. Also, I don't play too many like hack and slash, like I play Doom and stuff like that. But
Is Doom a hack and slash?
Definitely.
that's the problem. is I don't know
Maybe.
how much people consider that a hack and slash.
Doom is definitely.
It has a chainsaw.
I mean,
Any games that
run around.
hack and slash if you use a knife.
Valorant,
Alright,
hack and
Valorant-
slash.
Valorant's a hack and slash.
Yeah, I didn't really know I don't do too much hack and slash kind of game, so I didn't really know where to go with my hack.
Alright,
and
well we'll move on then from David, and we'll bounce over to Colin. Cologne.
Well,
Colleen.
as always,
Well.
I have 2.
Oh yes. Your
I
classic
almost have
2.
3.
You almost
but
have
out
3.
Of respect, I will only use 2.
Oh, thank God for that.
Well, the second 2 are really a toss-up, and both of them happen to be VR games. All
Oh,
3 of them happen
interesting.
to be VR games.
Disqualified.
Because hack and slash is
I
definitely it's
didn't
a genre
even
that
think of
lends
that.
itself pretty well to VR.
Yeah, no, I definitely think
It
it.
lends itself very well because it's just
Yeah.
you got hands, and that's
Yeah.
one of the easiest things to do with hands.
Yeah.
So the first one,
Huh, didn't even think
this
of
is
that.
my actual pick, is Blade and Sorcery VR.
Oh yeah. that's
Essentially what it is.
Oh, yeah, that is
it's,
fun.
exactly. It's like a magic type, like medieval. You know, you can fight with swords, or you can throw fireballs. You can mess with gravity. You can shock people. Very fun game. It's wave based. You can play wave based, or you can just do like 1v1 combat, which is my favorite thing to do. I essentially just turn myself into
Ooh.
just a champion. Bye, Patrick.
This clip. Sorry.
Champion. I like put infinite health on. I put infinite slow mo on, and then I just try and be an Ezio from Assassin's Creed or any assassin.
That's pretty
just
good.
Because I've also practiced. I practiced for probably an hour one day doing the Winter Soldier knife thing from Captain America.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
when they're doing the knife fight, he's like, and then he
Yeah.
drops and he catches it. I did that for like 30 minutes, just because that's what that VR is about. Back to episode 1, role playing. Blah, blah, blah. My
Getting
second
into
pick, which is
character.
not my actual pick. It's just my second pick. Is ironically Vader Immortal.
Oh.
So Vader Immortal is essentially
Yes.
it's not a successor, it's not a spiritual successor to Force Unleashed or anything like that, but it is a Star Wars game in which you are given a lightsaber and expected to use it however you want. I haven't played through the entire campaign. There's 3 different parts. I've only played through the first part, but one of the most captivating experiences is it's like a training mode. It's a wave-based mode where the little things that shoot Luke in episode 4, New Hope, when he's training, right? He's got the visor down and the thing is hovering around shooting at him and he's blocking it. It starts with that, and then it gets more complicated because they send in things with like actual lightsabers and you have to fight them off.
Yes.
And that's integrated into the story. At some point I'll finish it. So it's not as hack and slash as my third pick and my first pick. Third pick is Gorn, which is also just another hack and slash. Very similar to Blade and Sorcery. They're basically the same game, except
Okay.
one is like kind of cartoonish, and Blade and Sorcery is more
Yeah, Gorn's.
maybe
Realistic.
more realistic a little bit, as much as you can get with a medieval magic game. but specifically Blade and Sorcery and Gorn deal a lot with just kind of disgusting, meaning you can just bodies and like decapitate.
It's a lot of blood, different things, guts, pieces,
which is
giblets. One would say.
Somewhat shocking. Exactly. More so Gorn because it's cartoonish. They can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
Blade and Sorcery, it's very obvious that these are like supposed to be actual people, and you're like,
yeah,
maybe that comes with consequences. But as we'll talk about later, Blade and Sorcery, I think specifically VR is it's a large genre in VR. A lot of games have been developed for it, and those are just 3 that I have had the pleasure of experiencing. I'm sure there's countless others. Just because hack and slash always is generally set in medieval times.
Either medieval or like
is that fair? Like,
neo retro type. I could say it could be almost in any setting. That was a good transition into actually my pick. My pick's a little bit different, a little bit more generic hack and slash than your guys' picks. I picked Devil May Cry, a very well-known hack and slash that almost
it's not another Star Wars thing, otherwise I'd be the weird guy here.
Almost everybody has either heard of or played Devil May Cry. It follows Dante, which he's trying to get basically either get his brother back or do some stuff with his family throughout the whole game series. But basically what you do is you have a gun and you have a sword. You use both in tandem and you just hack through people. Ton of fun. A lot of platforming in that game as well. And just there's like you have a triple jump. The movement in the game is absurd. You can dash forward, triple jump up, and use your slashes to keep you midair, and then do more jumps. And there's like almost, I think you can get up to like 180 combo and get like Platinum S, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, it's a really fun game. If you guys haven't played it, it's just a riot to play.
Nice.
Yeah. So Patrick, what's your choice?
Well, I actually kind of have 2. I have one that's like an all-time and one that's like kind of competing because it recently just came out. But my all-time that I've always played is the Diablo series. I've played Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction, Diablo 3. Old-fashioned Blizzard hack and slash. Anyone that's been part of like Warcraft or like that whole series knows the game. It has a really nice lore to it that chains in through the whole series. RNG based loot dropping, sets, legendaries, shit like that. It really keeps you drawn in. But the game that I can really talk about a lot more is a game that came out more recently that's kind of competing for my top hack and slash series. It's called Hades. I don't know if any of you have seen it come out, but it's well, we were talking about the other day, David, actually. But Hades it's about Hades' son trying to escape from Tartarus, and all the Greek gods are helping him. They give him these powers, and he has like 5 or 6 different weapons he can choose to use to fight monsters, and it's like a level progression. It's really, really fun game. There's a whole bunch of like loot that you can gather and buy certain upgrades, and then you can talk to a bunch of like Greek mythology like people through like lore and stuff like that. It really actually teaches you like the real background, who they were and stuff like that. And it's like a really cool history lesson at the same time while you're just murdering all of these monsters of Tartarus. And it has a cartoony feel, but there's little blood splatters and explosions and shit like that, just to give it that nice good feeling that when you do something you're like, yeah, I did that, that was me. And like there's different weapons. There's like a sword you can use, a spear, there's a shield. You can literally just like go around bashing people's heads in with this shield. There's a bunch of like upgrades, special attacks. It's really, really cool. I'd recommend checking it out.
Awesome. I do have to bring up another one just because since everybody had at least maybe one or more, I have to bring up God of War. Obviously, like the most generic, but like fantastic series. If you haven't played them, just go buy one. If you don't have a console for it, I don't know, buy it, go for it. It's a fantastic series. You will not be disappointed at all.
You want to lend me a console so I could play it?
Honestly, yes, I will lend you a console to play it. Any PS4, PS3.
Actually, I have a PS3. Never mind.
Literally, just
Gotta have
get the
that.
collection. It's like maybe $30. Fantastic games, super fast-paced combat, and as Pat was saying about all the like Greek mythology and everything, you take this guy named Kratos through a bunch of olden Greek, basically tragedies and different things like that. Ton of fun and a very, very fast-paced combat with a lot of story-driven aspects.
Someone else think of another hack and slash.
Well, we can actually start comparing what are the differences between our choices for this week.
Actually, I don't. Colin brought up the point. I think it was Colin earlier that a lot of them tend to be like medieval or like that kind of like genre, which is interesting. With mine, where it's a futuristic Star Wars genre, and that really shows off just the difference that you can see in a hack and slash. Like there's definitely an easy setting to have, but you can really go anywhere
because
with it.
with most hack and slashes, you think it's easy to go back in time, but like when you go future, like most future-based games are either like high-tech lasers and guns and shit like that, and you wouldn't think, oh, futuristic, and someone still has some type of blade type thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was just about to mention was the reason I said mainly medieval because that's where you find bladed weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, Star Wars lends itself very well. Literally, that is weapon that has ever been invented. Apparently, is the lightsaber.
Well, no, there are
or just stormtroopers suck. But yeah, it's specifically still because hack and slash is in the name, right?
Yeah.
You can hack and slash. There are very few. You can't hack and slash a gun.
So I'm guessing
That's bullet hell, isn't it?
yeah, I guess.
Different genre.
So I guess like the main point of the genre is the fast-paced combat or the melee weapon fast-paced combat.
Exactly.
Or like bullet time, but with weapons, but with like melee weapons. A little bit, maybe.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. One of my picks, I was gonna pick Assassin's Creed because that has some elements of.
I guess. No, it does.
No. Assassin's Creed is very specifically roguelike and like its own genre of just like assassination.
No, it's kind of like hack and slash because it has the open combat slashing as well. There's assassination and then there's the other one.
I think this once again we're going back to
we're merging categories, yeah.
Is that it's hard to determine categories just because we want to put them in boxes, but like a box can't cover everything.
That's true, but if you think about them, like 90% of the game of all of Assassin's Creed, it's about the stealth, and stealth games is a genre.
I mean, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't consider Assassin's Creed a hack and slash because most of the game you're supposed to be stealthy, sneaking through things, lockpicking, whispering to guys that come over to a bush and then shank their gullet out. Like that's like.
But
that's the whole point
actually, to go.
But the whole point of the game isn't running through the middle of
wait.
with your assassin's blade out and a gun in your other hand and going, woo!
Counterpoint. The newest Assassin's Creed to come out, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, actually is just like running around with the giant axe, killing people. So what the fuck's the difference?
I mean, honestly, if you wanted to, you could just treat it like a hack and slash.
Yeah, so it's really honestly how you play it that way.
You can't play all the missions like that.
True. Yes, true.
Missions where they're like, you have to stay stealth if you get caught, the mission's over.
True.
Yeah.
They put you in a
My
box.
favorite part of Assassin's Creed isn't the missions.
I mean, that's true, yeah. It's jumping off a 50-foot building.
I only play Assassin's Creed for the
ragdoll physics.
I have played like some of the missions, but most of my time in any Assassin's Creed game is just me running around being like, I'm gonna go try and get the good guys and the bad guys to fight each other by like rushing into a guy and then rushing into another guy and then running away.
I thought you were gonna go say I'm gonna go pistol whip somebody.
The guard.
I have 100%ed every Assassin's Creed except for Valhalla. So I play. I have a deeper like appreciation to all the missions and like little parts of the game just because I have way too many hours into it.
Jeez. Okay. So what about the movement? I know that you brought up Diablo, a very dynamic game with changes different play styles from obviously class to class and different things like that. And it's also a very distinctive overview of your character.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right. So if we think about like the overview, that's it's permanently I think it's 5th person display where it's a lock camera
Yeah.
over the way the character walks. It's not 3rd person where you can pan around.
Yeah.
But if you actually think about it, if we take out Diablo 3 real quick, Diablo 1 and 2 is very, very stiff when it comes to movement. A lot of people don't like it because of that. When the camera's always locked, and there aren't a lot of actually movement abilities. Sorcerers have the teleport, barbarians have leap. Other than that, you get a couple of movement speed boosts here and there, but everyone's set the same speed, and
then they brought in the.
And then Diablo 3 came along, and everyone got like a new vault and teleport and this and that.
Yeah.
And there's 15 million new things to move around, and that's because Diablo 1 and 2 were so stiff.
Yeah.
So Diablo 3 kind of breached into that a little more, added a whole bunch more movement, and really got because people like to see things. They like to see themselves doing barrel rolls and teleporting around.
Do a barrel.
They don't like seeing their character just stand there and swing an axe punch. This isn't the 80s anymore.
I don't know. I appreciate some people getting cut in half.
There's the reason why I still play Diablo.
I mean, yeah, right.
So if we take that and compare it to Hades real quick, Hades has a really, really high movement cap. There's sprinting, there's walking, and there's dashes. And then there's each certain special abilities based on what weapons you have can move you around. And then there's upgrades that increase how many dashes you have or how much movement speed you have. And there's just a really, really good dynamic to movement. But it also has the set camera. It has that set 5th person camera lock. And then the camera moves around your character.
Yeah, I actually noticed that my game that I chose in the beginning, Devil May Cry, also has except for the newest one, 5, I believe, used to have a very fixed camera. Devil May 1, 2, and Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3 had very fixed point of views from like a corner of the room or different things like that, and then you'd go into another area and it'd change your perspective on it, and then you could always move around into the space, but you'd always be locked into that exact corner.
Yeah.
Actually, same with God of War as well. Jeez.
All right. I looked it up just to make sure I was wrong. It's not 5th person. It's called the 45th degree or 45 degree angle.
Well, who would know that? Yeah. I'm sure people who study it do.
Yeah.
All right.
I just didn't want some person in the comments or in the chat section to be like, "Well, you're technically wrong."
No. We want those. We want those people yelling at us. Get that viewership.
That means somebody's watching.
Yeah. All right, Kyle.
Okay, my question now.
Yep.
That I'd like to pose to the group, because I mentioned it earlier, can you have a hack and slash game without handheld weapons?
Yes.
Do your fists? Can you just have melee combat with your fists be in a hack and slash?
So what do you consider? In Devil May Cry, it's a hack and slash, but you have 2 guns that you can use majority of the game. You don't have to use your weapons.
I think the question is, like, what's the range on those weapons?
Oh, no, because
it's like 3 feet.
No, but
yeah, so, like...
Yeah, go ahead. I'll do it.
Like, I think it's, more than anything, I think hack and slash has to do with the close quarters combat. Right?
Yeah.
Is the range on the gun is like 3 feet. You're not going to be, like, shooting somebody across the level. Mainly because the cameras prevent you from doing that. But also the way the game engine is designed, or the way the game is designed. A bow and arrow is maybe the most advanced weapon you will see early, like maybe a spear or something. I don't think you often see a whole lot of projectile weapons. I think, as we've all agreed, it's primarily melee or at least close quarters.
Unless you're in like a cutscene, that's true, I would say.
All right. But I will argue that both of my games, Diablo and Hades, actually defy that. Because Diablo, you can have your character in the center of your screen, the corner of your screen, and shoot with certain classes and certain abilities all the way to the other corner of your screen and even things off your screen.
So I wouldn't consider playing a demon hunter to be like hack and slash. I know, but like if you have,
you could be a monk. There's monk abilities that go that far. There's barbarian abilities that go that far. There's wizard abilities that go that far. Every class has something that can reach almost the full screen. Or if you talk about Hades real quick, Hades has a gun, a bow, and a spear that all have projectiles that can reach the corners of your screen. Or you have a sword and a shield and fisticuffs that you can put on and run up and punch things.
So are those very limited abilities as well?
What do you mean?
Those abilities, can you use them consistently without like any repercussion or any any resource that you have to use? Because like usually the main thing for most of these games is hack and slash. You can go do a melee or go do something else.
Well, not as much in Diablo because Diablo is all resource based.
I mean, yeah.
In Hades, it's just they're regular abilities. Like there's a gun.
You just find a different weapon.
There's a weapon that's a gun that you can pick up and just use through the whole game that you shoot things from a distance. In the spear, either you can choose to melee with it, or it has an option that you can literally just throw it and then call it back to you, and it hits things that it passes through. So it gives you the option. And then there's like Colin said, there is that old-fashioned just bow and arrow, which is like one of the most simplest ways to cover that distance.
So back to kind of one of the things that's interesting is we talk about like projectile weapons. Specifically in David's game, he's primarily fighting enemies with projectiles, while he does not have a projectile.
Or maybe even reflecting those projectiles.
I can't remember if that's like some of the hardest enemies in a hack and slash are often the ones with projectile weapons.
And with like ranged attacks, yeah.
Really easy to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. In David's game, it's reversed.
Like not to spoil it. Yeah, not to spoil it though. Yeah. But David, who's like the final, who's like the what are the bosses like?
I haven't played that game in a long time. I have no idea anymore.
All
Maybe DS boy over here knows.
Yeah. All I remember, I don't remember exactly who it is or anything. All I remember is as you're going through the levels, it's just a bunch of like stormtroopers and other people with guns, and then every like boss type fight you have is either one of the big mechs or a person with the lightsaber. Other than that, every single person was ranged, but they really sucked. But then anytime you got to someone who was like a significant fight, it was either someone in a really big mech or they had a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. All I remember from like all like cinematic weird things I remember from that game are the ones where you're using the saber to like push against somebody and you have to like win to kill them.
Oh yeah, and you had to like button spam.
Yeah.
And then it would do like another little fight, and then it would stop, and you had the button spam again.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, no, that's all I remember. Same thing with Same thing with God of War. You get the button mashing, and then the really quick time events and different things like that. With obviously the story driven bosses and different things like that. What was your point, Colin?
I was discussing with the VR game, where I like to, the way I play it is I essentially cheat. Is I make myself invincible.
You make slow-mo.
I give myself all the abilities.
Yeah.
Infinite mana so that I can do all my abilities. Do you think that, I think another thing that's kind of quintessential to the hack and slash genre is you being not like all powerful, but significantly more powerful than like the base level enemies. Like specifically in David's, where you're a Jedi, that means you have a lot of training with this lightsaber. You can essentially block incoming fire from the stormtroopers. The stormtroopers suck, as we all know, as canon.
I mean, yeah.
And then, like in Liam's, where you're literally, you're essentially fighting gods and presumably winning to take their place, right? So do you think that is true for most hack and slash games, that you as the character are generally perceived as like significantly more powerful than a lot of the people you're fighting?
I think so.
I wouldn't say more powerful. I would say that you're trying to fight against odds that are ridiculous. So most of these hack and slashes you're fighting against either a preconceived god or somebody that is clearly more powerful in the beginning. Like, So, for instance, in Devil May Cry, in the beginning, your brother summons a demon tower in the middle of your city, and you're a demon hunter in that city, and you basically go out, climb the tower, get to the top of the tower, your brother says hi, beats the shit out of it, kicks you down to the bottom of the tower, and you have to go do the whole thing again. And once you get back up to the top, spoiler, but you kick the shit out of him.
No, see, I think it's more or less is that most games, when you start off, you're actually weaker than most of the end game bosses. And most of them have upgrades.
Right.
Like games where you don't cheat and just make yourself invincible. You have to there's a progression system. You buy upgrades, you earn currency through some system within the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure even the Star Wars Force Unleashed,
Oh, there's a lot of that in there.
There was achievements to get the different colored stuff, but there was also just you could just upgrade your lightsaber to do more damage, get yourself more I think Force bar, so you could use the Force longer and stuff like that. So I think it's most of them have the same progression system, where it's you start off baseline stronger than the average opponent, but you're nowhere near as strong as any of the bosses you need to kill. Where you need to work into
what I would say is, kind of what Liam was saying is, I think very similar to another genre of bullet hell that I already mentioned. It's more of a numbers game than it is a power game.
Yeah.
Right. Like the most difficult levels are the most difficult base levels, not boss battles, involve you against a significant amount of enemies, either that there's a lot, just an overwhelming number of them, or that there's just a significant number of them and they're just harder to kill.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think those two are very similar, where it's not that you're weak, it's that you're getting better at managing a battle against, as Liam put it, overwhelming odds, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually bring up a game that I picked from one of my favorite RPG games. Is gonna be Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is a very hack and slash, very.
That's what I was about to ask. I was about to say, it was Monster Hunter is technically an RPG based game, but then 99% of the game is played kind of hack and slashy. You just have a weapon and you're just beating the shit out of this monster. But technically, it's an RPG.
Well, it's an RPG.
Technically, is only
game
determined as an RPG.
Yeah.
Where Diablo is an RPG hack and slash, but if you look up Monster Hunter, that's why I was double checking just to make sure, it is classified only as action RPG.
I would say the only reason that they don't include it in a hack and slash is because it is so specific to Monster Hunter and how the mechanics work. Because it's not incredibly fast-paced unless you're really good at the game.
Well, also, I think it also goes off what Colin said, is because Monster Hunter, it's most of the time, it's you and either a group of people or just you versus a monster at a time, whereas most hack and slashes, it's you versus a horde of 100 creatures that are average, so you can just blow through them with a couple abilities, right? Whereas Monster Hunter, it's you versus this one dinosaur or monster, whatever, that's gonna take you a good hour just to handle that one thing.
Someday when I'm famous, somebody will tell me that I'm a simp for Capcom, and I agree. Full-heartedly.
Liam, you're a simp for Capcom.
Simp for Capcom, 100%. Give me their stuff. I will wear your flag. Do it. Fantastic games. I mean,
so would you, because we've just defined it as having to do with overwhelming odds, David, I know you've recently gotten into Jedi Fallen Order. Is that what it's called? Right?
Oh yeah.
It's a game.
Would you consider that, and as well in that genre or in that realm, Dark Souls? Would we consider that hack and slash, because it is very technical blade combat?
I forget how they classify it, but it's not a hack and slash. It's a deliberate. I forget how they say it.
Because I think hack and slash very
say it pretentiously.
Sounds.
They do.
Sure
hack and slash sounds very just gotta do it.
I'm pretty sure Dark Souls is considered more like a dungeon crawl.
Yeah, a action role playing dungeon crawler. Um,
Sounds about right.
Because like
Okay.
there's a lot of games like Dark Souls where there could be a lot of hack and slash type scenes or areas, but you don't have to. It's more of
also,
a,
Bandai Namco, I will simp for you as well.
but it's it's David, you've played, right? Dark Souls.
Played. I got through a bit of it. I haven't completed it though.
But it's like there's a lot of part. Well, you don't have to get through it. There's a lot of parts where you're just like, yeah, I'm not gonna go there because I don't want to fight this guy. It's more of like a choosing your right paths and knowing the secret passageways.
I play Dark Souls way differently. I'm the guy that's just like, oh, I've got no clothes on and I'm rolling around.
I mean, it depends on what I'm playing. I've done two-hander only naked runs.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I was like, I am BB as hell when it comes to Dark Souls. It's fun as hell, though. But yeah, when it gets back to the actual combat of the game, it's more deliberate slashes versus then obviously button mashing with you when you get with like hack and slash, because it's obviously you're not thinking about where you're putting your blade, it's where you're just hacking and slashing.
It's almost like I'm a really big Fire Emblem fan. If anyone knows me, I've always said it. But they put out one game in their series called Fire Emblem Heroes, which it's a hack and slash version where it just takes all the characters and then puts them you're playing the character in a hack and slash scenario. So there's like, and it's just again one of those, there's 15 million troops and you're just playing a character just pressing combos. It's almost like a fighting game type thing where like you have to press certain combos, but you don't have to. You can sit there just like
yeah, button mashing. Yeah, what?
Because you are that overpowered figure.
So I'm really interested in pushing the bounds of this definition that we have now. Of the overwhelming forces, because I want to get out there.
Blowing up the oval.
Exactly.
So I just looked.
Moving on.
I'm gonna interrupt you just a little bit. Hack and slash, by the definition of Wikipedia, the good God Wikipedia, hack and slash or hack and slay refers to the type of gameplay that emphasizes combat with melee-based weapons and a few projectile-based weapons, as well as its subgenre of beat-em-up genre.
Oh, so okay, so okay. So now I have two questions. So first of all, Chivalry and Mordau, those are popular medieval battle games, I guess we can. I would consider that a hack and slash based on the definition you just gave.
Yep.
Even though we said that primarily hack and slash has to deal with overwhelming odds, because hack and slash, as I mentioned, I don't know if anybody heard, just very panicked, right? It sounds like you're
very quick. Yeah, you're very quick. Exactly. You're not really thinking about where it is. You see an enemy, you get them, that kind of thing.
My second question was gonna be Batman Arkham games, because the combat in that is melee combat, and the combat in that and early Assassin's Creed games or middle Assassin's Creed games very similar. You fight essentially, and then you have like a counter button, and that's basically it.
So
would you consider that a beat 'em up?
I wouldn't disagree. I would say that a beat 'em up is almost like Bayonetta, or like I actually looked him up.
Bayonetta is a hack and slash game.
It's also classified as a beat 'em up. So it's any really game that includes fighting with hack and slash, basically.
Oh, okay. Wait. So beat 'em up games, it's a lot of fighting, close quarters,
yes,
ranged weapons.
Exactly.
Smash Bros.
Pretty much, yeah. It's basically Smash Bros. If it was like story driven.
So that means Smash Bros. Is a hack and slash game. It's close quarter fighting.
Yes, it is.
Right.
It's
wait. Is Mortal Kombat a hack and slash game then?
That's what it's
so the Street Fighter games are on here, but I don't think straight up fighting games are technically beat 'em up. Because again, you're fighting one person versus like a horde, as you were saying. You're fighting multiple enemies versus one person you need to eliminate from the competition.
Okay, so through with your definition, what you said, and through all the what we've been talking, so there's a game I played back on the Xbox 360 a bunch.
Yeah.
Bladestorm: The 100-Year War. Now, basically, what it is you're a mercenary. You can bounce back both sides of the English and the French, and you just fight during the 100-Year War as a mercenary for hire. But it's a real-time strategy action game. But when you go through the whole thing, it's just you pick up a platoon of troops, you charge out there, you kill a bunch of other troops, and you're literally just running around, hacking, slashing, bows, arrow, medieval time.
So,
but it's not a hack and slash game technically, right?
no,
Even though
because
it does follow under your description of what a hack and slash would be according to Wikipedia.
So I think again you have to have those very specific controlling a certain character, controlling a with I forget what game it is, but it's like Link.
No, you control one specific character and you can jump. Let's say you see a platoon of cowboys.
You're controlling like 60 people here.
No. You control one guy and you pick up platoons of troops that are just AI controlled. But you are one person. You can only control the fighting of one person.
I think the fact that you have people join you in your quest, whether you control them or not, causes it to become not a hack and slash.
Okay,
because
so
I feel a hack and slash is a lot more solo based. You might have a companion here or there, but it's like maybe one other person.
So here's an
When
interesting.
you start getting like platoons, even if you don't control them, you're kind of just driving away from the true hack and slash nature.
Yeah.
In my head, at least.
I certainly agree with that. I'm gonna bring up another interesting one that I actually just thought of. Link, Four Swords, or the Four Swords, or something like that. It's where basically Link picks up the swords where he splits into 4 different people, and obviously it's a hack and slash game because it's a top-down Zelda. But you have four of yourself that you play with, and you can play with multiple players and different thing like that.
Me and my brothers used to play that on the Game Boy Link.
Yeah. Is that a hack and slash game?
No, you're going towards adventure.
Yeah, you're hitting. There is some hack and slash aspects, but that's an adventure. That's definitely not. Colin, when I said the Game Boy Link, Colin was like,
yeah.
Wait.
That was a.
The Game Boy Link. That's a fire console.
Yeah,
that's a nostalgia shock.
It's what those kids call fire.
Mentioned about Gorn and Blade and Sorcery is kind of the brutality that the combat has, and I haven't seen a whole lot of Fallen Order, but I know that there is lightsabers are devastating weapons, in actuality.
Yeah, they don't have...
and so I think they did realistic combat okay in that game. They didn't go over the top where it's blood and gore like some of the other games. I think Devil May Cry is pretty.
So theoretically, you wouldn't bleed too much with a lightsaber cut.
You wouldn't.
It would instantly
solder your. All right.
If we want to be nerdy about it,
we've had the Wikipedia definition. We've had the Wikipedia definition of hack and slash. Do we want to add brutal combat to that?
I would
feel like a lot of the time hack and slash goes hand in hand with just.
I think it does, but that's only
blows.
because when you think close combat, things get messy. One of the something I heard a long time ago is if you're in a knife fight, you have to expect to be cut. That's just how it works. You won't get around that.
I mean, yeah.
I think when you think of when you think of hack and slash, that close combat, you think of brutality. And I think most developers do, but I don't think it's a requirement to make a hack and slash.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's obviously a gray area with a lot of these genres, and we like talking about those gray areas, which is the best part. I'm looking up gore and Blade and Sorcery right now. I would say wow, that's quite bloody actually. Jesus, his head just hit a gong.
Yeah, it's VR, dude. That's the biggest part.
That's pretty cool looking.
Gorn was specifically made to be gory, though.
I mean, that's why it's called Gorn.
Yeah, Gorn was literally made to be gory.
Glory.
Glory. Hammer.
But yeah, no, it definitely is an interesting one. With Colin, you picked a very obviously first-person view of your hack and slash because you can do it yourself.
When which is maybe the worst part of it.
Yeah, what are you, a
That you're like,
sadist?
oh, I did
I
this.
murdered these people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez. No, yeah, I think definitely you could add very restricted, obviously ranged weapons or like power-ups, different things like that to the hack and slash categories. But I do think melee combat is a like ground tenet for hack and slash.
Yeah.
Other than that,
there are certain games that obviously break the boundaries of that and go a little farther, but most all hack and slash should and will stick around that close quarter. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. When you go back to the Force Unleashed, you obviously can like reflect damage and reflect the bolts from the quote unquote stormtroopers. I still think they're just people in costumes shooting at people. Because they're so bad.
I mean, they pretty much are.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them are slaves too.
Obviously, all of them have their helmets on backwards. It's the only reason.
I mean, I hope, dude. They can't hit anything. But yeah, what was your favorite point in the Force Unleashed, where you thought the combat could be improved?
I still don't remember enough about the game.
Gotcha.
I remember I loved the combat and I loved being able to move as I did.
I'll open up the question. What are you? Okay, since we picked all our favorite games, what is one point of the game that you would improve upon?
I got mine. Throwing physics in VR stink.
Yeah,
they probably always will.
They
except with very specialized hardware for it. Specifically with the index, they've got the controller that is basically in your hand, right?
Yeah.
And it's got the finger tracking. That is how you get people to actually throw things. The worst part of either Blade and Sorcery and Gorn is when you're like, I have a throwing knife, and then you throw it and it goes right into the ground.
Whoa.
If you practice it enough, you can get better at it by like releasing really early or literally just throwing it straight.
Yeah, you ever
to get the motion
like shotgun motion? You're like,
yeah, you like you're stabbing somebody and then you let go and hopefully it'll fly straight into them.
Yeah.
It looks
Catch.
stupid, but it's the only way to get an accurate knife throw.
Can that work in real life? Can I grab my knife and just throw it straight forward?
We do not advise you trying that or anybody else. Don't try that at home, kids.
It's a lot of fun though if you do.
So Patrick, what would you improve about Diablo or the one you were talking about earlier?
Hades?
Yeah.
I think Hades, I think it's the hitboxing. So, there's certain terrain you can't go through. And so when you're, at one point, if you go, there's, a bunch of, upgrades and stuff. If you go one, you can get, really fast and have, 4 dashes at the same time. And after dashing, it gives you, a movement speed. And then sometimes you'll be dashing, and you're supposed to go through hitboxes, but then the game will be like, oh, no, technically you stopped dashing and then started a new dash right as you hit the hitbox, so it'll shift you, and then you'll throw yourself into a lava pit later in the game, lose, half your health pool, and then quickly dash out of it, and then you're just like, why did this happen? So I think it's just, hitbox registering on, where you are, or maybe having, a setting where you can turn on, certain games you can, highlight the base where the hitbox actually is. I know certain games that do that just to help out, because sometimes that game you can get really fast paced. Some of the boss fights in it are really boom, boom, boom. You gotta move, or you're gonna get hit by environmentals. You're gonna hit by boss and skills. There's a ton of shit going on, and your eyes are all over. And me wondering, oh, am I gonna make that make it through that block, or am I just gonna die because the game's gonna be like, no, sorry.
Yeah. So David, you can't remember what's going on?
While I can't, I do want to go into Jedi Fallen Order because I feel there are some similarities towards those two games.
Okay.
I don't think they're the exact same game in any respect, but so there was part of so I look at movement in all the games I play more than anything else, because if you have good movement, a lot of things can be overlooked in your game.
I would
In part.
I would completely agree, but I would say we were talking about an FPS that has a ton of great movement in it, but had kind of lackluster gunplay last week. What was the name of the game? It was your pick, Colin.
My FPS pick was Titanfall.
Yeah, Titanfall. So it has amazing, obviously, movement and jumping and different things, but it had a little bit lackluster gameplay with the gunplay, I meant. And, yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, the problem that I found in Fallen Order, and I feel this is true for a lot of games, is it felt very cramped, and you can't always tell exactly where you can use your abilities. Like, you can wall run, but you can only wall run on, like, certain walls. Where, like, that doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like, I understand they're trying to not let you, like, go out of bounds of the map. But at the same time, like, there's a very limiting factor they had on your own freedom.
I also
kinda always kills a game for me.
I also feel that breaks a little bit of immersion, because if you can do it on one wall, you should be able to do it on another wall.
No, wait. Is it easier to tell which walls you can or cannot do it
For the most part, yeah. There's some climbing bits that it's hard to tell where you can and can't climb, but for the most part, it's easy to tell.
That's the thing is I hate to sound like that new generation of gaming, because a lot of older games didn't have a lot of like visuals that did that, but also a lot of games, older games didn't have a lot of the mechanics newer games do, is that they don't, they don't show you where you can't do it. Like a lot of the Assassin's Creed games, it's like, can I climb that wall? And then you go to climb the wall, then you fall off because you can't make it the whole way up, and then a guard walks up, is like, you violated the law, and shanks you, and you're like, well.
I think that's a learning curve to a game. I think you should be shanked and
No,
deserve to be shanked.
I understand like there should be some learning to it, and I also think there should be some point to, some showing of like, this is something you can do, this is something you can't do, because you don't know how many times in games where they'll have mechanics like that. I'll go to run up some wall or dash over some obstacle, and it'll just be like, yeah, you can't do that.
So one of my most hated areas in any Dark Souls game is Dark Souls 2's starting area. The main reason is because you could just fall to your death a million times because there's no collision whatsoever. And I'm okay with that. I hated the fuck out of it, but it made me a better player.
So I think I agree with what you were saying, Patrick, that there's some points in certain games where you're like, man, I really wish they would have told me that I was gonna, fall off that cliff, or that I couldn't climb the wall. But I think the danger in that is like almost too much hand-holding. Like, I don't want every game to be Mirror's Edge, where everything that I can climb on is a different color. Because that's just like, that's like too much.
Well, yeah.
But I do like when they like color the edge of a cliff that you can climb up.
Like,
a little bit. There's like chalk there.
Or maybe if you look at it closely enough, there's like a little shine to it. Like it's not like something that's like a holy beacon to the heavens above. That's like, this is something you can climb on. But, like, if you look at it, it has like a little like sparkle or like shimmer to
There's
it.
a cat.
Oh, you're like, oh shit, I can do that.
Yeah. No, something I would change, going back to that question, something I would change in my game would be the fucking camera angle. When I was younger, I could not get around how, like, there'd be like a hidden area, and you can only get to it in a certain way where it's out of focus. So it'd be like, okay, so I've got my camera right here. It'll be like here. You have to like go into this corner and jump into here, but you can't see it because it's over here.
Yeah, the classic Lego Star Wars issue.
Oh, it drives me bonkers. Yeah.
How?
It's literally one of my most like pet peeves is to just get your camera right, and it would just drive me up a wall. Immediate red face.
Or ones where like all of a sudden you'll be going, and then like you interface wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden you're like doing like 360s around your character and staring at
you
you.
Whoa.
You're like, stop, please stop.
Or you jump off a balcony that you didn't mean to.
It's like you guys can kind of relate to this, Colin. Actually, all of you can. It's like kind of like Rocket League, but worse.
Wait, Rocket League, but worse?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, Rocket League when the ball goes like flying over top of you, and also your camera's just like. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Oh, yeah.
Just stretching the boundaries.
No.
Is Lego Star Wars a hack and slash game?
I would consider Lego Star Wars a hack and slash.
Yeah.
I would consider that a hack
So
and
wait,
slash.
what about like Lego Indiana Jones?
No,
Lego
100%
Batman?
Lego Indiana
That's
Jones.
got too many guns in it.
It does have a little bit too many guns in it, but I would still agree with it.
What about Lego Batman? There's not a lot of guns in that one.
Or would it be a beat 'em up?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, that's under hack and slash.
Yeah. I think there's too many noises going on.
I have all the old Lego games. I can start reading them off.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
They are their own genre as far as I'm concerned.
They are.
Okay.
It's like comedic construction battle game.
Goal.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that is the episode, boys. This is episode 4 of the Rat Chat. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for coming, Flame Mango, Deathwatch, and also Blank. Catch next week's episode Sunday, 9 p.m. We will be there. Actually, wait.
No, because we'll probably be.
Skip that. The weekend after, we will be back momentarily.
Or we do it live at.
We're gonna skip that weekend. Just be sure. We'll be next the weekend after. Stay safe out there and have a great 2021.